Hey, Paul, I'm sure you like the offensive production that you're getting from your team when you put the three forwards out in the extra period. What do you think has worked so well with them in their defensive play in those extra periods?
It's man-on-man coverage throughout the league. I think now there was a few years ago there were a few teams that were kind of zoning it, but everybody's man-on-man. So if you've got two forwards and a defenseman, both of those forwards are doing the same thing that they would do if there's three forwards on the ice. So, but if you look at the roster at the end of the year, the guys who score all the goals are forwards. So we'll probably try to put as many forwards on the ice as we can, I think.
We'll go next to Ken Weeb from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Weaver.
Well, what do you think of the way your team has handled its composure in momentum swing games or when giving up a late goal and not letting it over into overtime?
You know, good tonight was different because I thought we really liked our first period. It's as good a period as we played in Montreal in a long time. And then I think the second period, we recognized that like we did it to ourselves in a lot of it. Granted, they had a good pushback and they've got good sticks, and we fed into that. So that's different than if you think that you're playing fine and the other team, you know, either had a tough first and they really turned it on. So those are almost tougher to turn around than, you know, than the latter. Like if you've, you know, done the things that have slowed your team down, if you're responsible for your for the second period, and we were being able to turn that switch, you know, and come back out and have the third that we did. And now they're, you know, we're both with at 20 minutes to win a hockey game, so they're better. But you know, we crack three posts and have two or three other really good chances. So I was pleased with the pushback and our ability to kind of right the ship as much as we could going into the third.
Now we'll go next to Scott Billick from The Sun. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, I'm interested to know, you know, you've played Matthew Perreault 12 minutes a night sometimes this season. Other nights you've played him 6 minutes a night, and I understand the game dictates those minutes, but he's always been a constant around here, it seems, and just as much this season. I guess, what do you think of his game right now, and what is he offering to your team at the moment?
So some of what Matty Perreault has kind of been through here is actually a function of his line mates, right? So he came in and we played him in the top 9 and put up good numbers, and then we added different kind of players. Our structure changed. We have a checking line, those kind of things, and he played very well on that line earlier in the year. But he is a kind of a good veteran pro with a nice set of hands on him, and as impactful as he was when he scored, I think he had 18 here. You know, one of his best years was with Hendricks and Armia. And then like tonight, you have like a version of that, right? In terms of two other veteran guys. And he loves playing with those guys, right? He's talking on the bench. Matty just loves the game, loves playing it, but he wants to have fun doing it. He wants to play with two guys that kind of, he plays with a little bit of abandon and certainly an awful lot of passion. So what happens is with the way they're playing and the goal that he scored the other night, there is a timeout at the end of the first. The third timeout comes at 4:57 on the clock. It's a deep zone left face off. And I know that Suzuki very probably is coming out. And in the past, when we were really young, I would never have put the fourth line out there to do that. But because Thompson is so good on the draws, and if you watch the way we broke the puck out, Lewis pushes that, and then they score a goal. Like those guys feed off that, right? They know they're getting a chance, and they know that, you know, the other team's best is probably coming out. So it adds a different dimension to our team, like three veteran guys accepting their role, being really excited to play. And the passion that he shows on the ice, that you see on the ice, we feel on the bench and we see in practice and around the locker room.
Apologies, guys. We have a bus to catch, but we have time for a couple more. We'll go to Paul Friesen from The Sun. Go ahead, Paul.
Oh, I'm just wondering how concerned and how puzzled you were during that second period. It was such a contrast from the first.
I wasn't puzzled at all. It was very clear what was happening. And that's what a regular season is for. So the idea that you would have a first period 3 times against a good team, that doesn't happen. You know, if we were to say that if you were just right, if you just handled your game the way you're capable, then it should have ended up 6-0. I don't think that's realistic. But these are really necessary things to go through. So we'll take the video from that, show the specifics of it, and try to get better. Our game has been pretty darn consistent in some areas. Puck support, our neutral zone defense has been good. And in the last, so the Vancouver 3 periods, the first period tonight, we're starting to see an offensive idea kind of grow. So we're not just a rush team, we're creating things in the offensive zone. And then we faltered, right? We did a bunch of things in the second period that were counteracting the idea. So they're important. It's really important that we deal with that tomorrow, and we try to, see more. And so you get 40 minutes of it, maybe 45 minutes of it. But I would caution against that idea that if you just play your game, we should have beat the Montreal Canadiens 6-0 on their ice, and that's just not realistic.
And final question to Jeff Hamilton from the Free Press. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, Paul, understanding you take a goal from any player, we've talked in the past about certain players bring an added element to the bench when they do score, and it's usually deeper forwards. But I feel like Paul Stastny fits in that group because everyone seems to appreciate that guy from top to bottom. And I'm just kind of curious. I don't even really know what my question is beyond that. The value that he has seems a bit more than just on the ice, and he's really been able to move to that wing and even bring out a certain game from those two guys that you've kind of been focusing on all season long.
Right. So everybody wants to play with him because he's so smart. And the plays that he makes, the small area plays that he makes, everybody appreciates. But you're 100% right. Like, he has this kind of, he's such a veteran player, but he's a really good guy and a really good, easygoing veteran player who plays the game right, plays it hard, makes plays. But Paul would be one of those guys as a veteran player that has a connection to almost everybody in our room, which is unusual. Sometimes when those guys age into that category, right, they hang out with the one or two guys and kind of, they got kids, so they only kind of hang out with a certain section. Just the proof of that, just watch us at the end of our practices, right? He'll end up talking to everybody, and they'll talk to him for 20 minutes at the end of the practice. He has this, everybody loves Stas, right? Everybody wants him, and when he has a game like tonight, and we all understand the small, like really gifted things he does, but you want to score goals, man, in this league, and he did that, and there's lots of people trying to get him the puck late in the third.